Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Liam and this is Grammar Simple, the channel that makes English grammar simple. Okay, today we have an advanced lesson for you. We're going to be talking about facts and trends using the present simple and the present continuous tense. So, if you want to learn English grammar, stay tuned. Okay, like I said, this is an advanced lesson today, and we are going to be talking about facts and trends using the present simple and the present continuous tense. So, let's begin. Let's begin firstly by talking about the present simple tense. We use the present simple in English to talk about states, routines, and habits, and to state well-known facts or common facts. Let's talk about states, routines, and habits first. Notice that I have put states in yellow and routines and habits in blue. The reason for this is because routines and habits are similar, so I'm using the same color here, whereas states are different. They exist in your mind, so I've used yellow. Let's look at some examples with states. I love film, so I enjoy watching movies at the cinema. So love, enjoy, these are state verbs in the present simple. Let's look at habits and routines. I often go to the theater on Sundays. Notice the main verb go is in bold. It is present simple. The important thing here are the adverbs, often, on Sundays. These are very common expressions to use if we are describing habits and routines. I usually buy a large popcorn. So the verb buy is our present simple verb, and usually is our frequency adverb to describe my habit of buying popcorn. Most of the time, usually. Okay, let's talk about well-known facts. Some easy ones to begin that everyone can understand. The Earth revolves around the sun. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The moon is the closest celestial object in proximity to the Earth. Okay, what does this mean? It means the Earth and the moon are the closest objects in space to each other. The Earth is not closer to Jupiter or Mars or Venus or the Sun. The Moon is the closest object in space. Celestial object. Celestial means in space. Some more examples. Let's go back to our topic of film and cinema. Hollywood produces hundreds, if not thousands, of films each year. So this is a fact about Hollywood and how many films they make each year. The economics are simple. The most popular films make the most money. The city of Vancouver, my hometown, The city of Vancouver, BC, Canada, is a popular film location. It's true. In fact, many of my friends work in the film industry on some shows that you might watch yourself on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Some of the Marvel shows, like Daredevil, for example. Okay, let's talk about present continuous. We use the present continuous tense to describe a temporary situation, to describe a trend or a new development. And we use the present continuous with particular or specific state verbs. Usually it's not common to use the present continuous with state verbs. This is what we tell students in beginner or intermediate classes, but like many English rules, they are broken when you become advanced. But first you have to learn the basics, and it's easier to learn the basics with simple rules like that. But rules are meant to be broken, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that soon. Okay, let's talk about temporary situations first. Because it is December, many theaters are showing classic Christmas films. But will they be showing these films in July or August? No, it's a temporary situation, only for Christmas time. I can't talk right now. I'm watching a movie. I'll be done in an hour. So, your movie is 2 hours long. You are not watching the movie forever. When the movie is finished, you will probably not watch it again. So it's a temporary situation. I'm living in Spain all year for work. So I'm going to a lot of foreign films in my spare time. So living in Spain is a temporary situation. I don't live in Spain usually. I live in Canada. And I'm going to a lot of films in my spare time. These are temporary situations as well, because the films have a beginning and an ending. All right, let's talk about trends and new developments. Often we use verbs that show change with these examples, because trends are changes in normal happenings, normal occurrences. So it's common to use verbs that show change. For example, change, increase, decrease, rise, fall, and we use get plus adjective together. Movie ticket prices are constantly increasing nowadays. However, many theaters are still losing money. Maybe the public is getting tired of spending so much on going to the theater, so much money on going to the theater. So here in the final example, we have is getting plus adjective, tired. In this example, tired doesn't mean sleepy, it means annoyed, Okay, we also use the present continuous tense with particular state verbs to portray a changing or a developing situation. So it's a situation that's in the process of changing, or it is developing into something new. Streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime are appealing to more and more people these days. This means people are choosing, or they are interested in, using platforms like Netflix, Apple, Amazon Prime, instead of buying movies on DVD or Blu-ray, or even going to the cinema, for example. However, even they may be a trend of the past, as many young people are choosing to use social media sites like TikTok and Instagram instead. So, more and more people are choosing not to watch TV shows and movies. They prefer to watch the reality TV on TikTok and Instagram. Well, Instagram is pictures, but you know what I mean. As a result, theaters are now finding it more difficult than ever to fill seats. In this example, fill seats means put people in seats. Fill the seats with people. All right, let's talk a little bit about adverbials now. Thinking about simple or continuous tense. Adverbials will be in yellow for these examples. Adverbials relating to time are commonly used with either the present simple or the present continuous tense. Time adverbials, these are called. Adverbials of time, time adverbials, it's the same thing. You will often hear both. Some of these time adverbials are used with both tenses, but the meaning changes. This is very important. The meaning of the sentence changes. So be careful. We will look at some examples in a moment. I go to the theater once a week, usually on Sundays. This example is present simple. And this is a routine. So once a week, on Sundays, these are adverbials related to time, often used with routines. I'm currently waiting in line to buy a ticket. This is a temporary situation because hopefully I won't be late waiting in line for a really long time, like forever. So, one day, in 20 minutes, I'll be watching the movie, for example. Hopefully I wouldn't be waiting in line forever. That sounds awful. Can you imagine waiting in line up forever? No. Okay. Most directors shoot their films digitally nowadays. However, a small minority still use real film. This is an established fact. Nowadays, film studios are using more computer-generated imagery, CGI, than ever before. This is a new development. Okay, frequency adverbials, and you can see some examples on the screen. Always, forever, continually, constantly. These can be used with the present simple. So frequency adverbials such as always, forever, continually, constantly can be used with the present continuous to emphasize an emotional reaction to a regular or repeated activity. So a common activity, a regular activity, or a repeated activity, something that happens again and again. So I have a little equation here. We have the examples of the frequency adverbs, always, forever, continually, constantly, plus present continuous tense equals emphasize an emotional reaction to a frequent occurrence, something that happens frequently. Let's look at some examples. He's always leaving the milk on the counter. So he frequently leaves the milk on the counter would be a similar way to say this. It is forever raining in Vancouver. This means it's always raining in Vancouver. My partner is continually showing up late for class. Again and again and again. I couldn't get my work done because my computer is constantly acting up. What does acting up mean? Do you know? Acting up means not performing how I want it to. The computer has problems. It's slow, maybe it has a virus, it's just not working properly, how I want it to. What is the emotion that is being conveyed in these examples? If I say these examples to you in English, I'm trying to express a particular emotion here. Do you know what that emotion is? Imagine I say, ugh, he's always leaving the milk on the counter. Maybe I find the milk on the counter again. And yesterday it was the same. And last week it was the same. Is this going to make me happy? Probably not. So the emotion we're trying to convey with these examples is annoyance, being annoyed or angry. All right, let's look at the position of adverbials. First, let's talk about single word adverbials. Place single word adverbials between the subject and the verb. I usually watch films at night. Also, place after the verb be, when be is a main verb. The theater is generally busier at that time. So, I usually watch films at night. The theater is generally busier at that time. Maybe I like a busy theater because it's more fun when there's more people. Also, single word adverbials can be placed after auxiliary verbs, be, have, etc. I have occasionally gone in the afternoon, but the atmosphere isn't as exciting. I usually watch films at night. The theater is generally busier at that time. I have occasionally gone in the afternoon, but the atmosphere isn't as exciting. Okay, let's talk about longer adverbials. These are usually called adverbial phrases. They can be placed at the beginning of a sentence. They can be placed at the end of a sentence. And they can be placed at the beginning of a clause. And they can be placed at the end of a clause. In these examples, sentences will be underlined and clauses will be italicized. Let's talk about the beginning of a sentence first. Most of the time, I sit at the back of the theater. Now let's look at the end of a sentence. I sit at the back of the theater most of the time. Okay, beginning of a clause. Most of the time, I sit at the back of the theater, but every once in a while, I sit in the middle. So the clauses here are I sit at the back and I sit in the middle. These are two clauses put together to make a sentence with the conjunction but. So this is a compound sentence. Two sentences put together. Most of the time I sit at the back, but every once in a while I sit in the middle. And these two adverbial phrases are at the beginning of each clause. Now let's look at the same examples with the adverbials placed at the end. I sit at the back most of the time, but I do sit in the middle every once in a while. The reason I added the verb do here is for emphasis. I sit at the back most of the time, but I sit in the middle every once in a while. It's a little bit strange. There's no emphasis on something you do differently. So if I add the word do, it means the exception, because most of the time is the majority and every once in a while is a smaller amount. So I'm adding the word do to show that usually I do this, but sometimes I do this. And the word do emphasizes that. And again, these are at the end of the clauses. All right, let's talk about temporary situations. Some adverbs describe temporary situations, such as temporarily, pretty easy. The theater is temporarily closed for renovations. I heard they are upgrading their sound systems. For the time being. I guess I'll have to watch movies at home for the time being, because the theater is closed. So until the theater opens, I will have to watch movies at home. At present. At present, it is unclear when they will reopen. So I don't know how long the renovations will take. at the moment. Currently. These are other examples. All right, guys. That's it. Hopefully you learned something today about adverbials, about present simple, present continuous, facts, trends, developing situations, common truths, common facts. Let me know if this worked for you. Let me know if you have any questions, any comments. Write them down in the comments section. Once again, my name is Liam. This is Grammar Simple, the channel that makes English grammar simple. I hope. That's it for me. I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.